Hey guys, so you've cleansed your skin, you've moisturized, and if you're like me, you went off and had your breakfast and you feel a little bit more alive. So now it's time to prepare your skin for the foundation and the makeup you're going to apply. Primers aren't always essential, they're a nice extra, generally if you have the time, or if you're going to have a long day, like you're working all day with makeup or wearing makeup, or you're going to a wedding, or you're just going to be wearing it from early in the morning till evening, or if you have like oily skin or you have problems with your skin that make makeup sting on your skin a little bit of a challenge, then you can definitely use primers. Some of my favourites to use that are just basic for everyone's skin would be something like the Prep and Prime Skin by MAC. This is a nice, has a slight brightening effect to it, and it just makes the skin really silky smooth. It makes the makeup go on really, really lovely and smooth on top as well, and it also makes the makeup last longer. So that's one good one for everyone. Then another great primer for everyone's skin would be something like this by number 7. It's the Airbrush Away Primer. This is a lovely silicone based primer. Most primers are silicone based, which means that they trap oil in on the skin, but they also keep moisture in on the skin. So they're good for all skin types, and they just make makeup go on so smooth on top. It is very, very smoothing. And these guys generally have soft focus properties as well, so they're really good for kind of blurring the appearance of fine lines and stuff like that on the skin, or even pores or anything like that. So that's another really good one to have. Then primers that are really good for smoothing out skin. So this is for anyone who has like uneven skin texture or uneven bumps or anything like that in the skin, would be something like this, which is from Bourjois and their Flower Perfection primer. This is a smoothing primer, so it can be used obviously on its own if you want to just kind of have a slightly more smooth look to your bare skin, but it's brilliant for underneath foundation. And this is the kind of product that they say would be like polyfill for the face. So the way it works is that it has a slightly thicker consistency, but it's still really, really soft and spongy. But when you apply it over the face, it will literally sit in on any of the dents in the face and then give a smoother surface on top. So it's really good for anyone who might have pock marks or anything like that, or any other issues that would contribute to uneven skin texture. Then another great one is this one by MAC. It's the Prep and Prime Skin Smoother Base. This is a slightly newer one by MAC, and this works in exactly the same way. It's kind of waxy looking or feeling. When you apply it over the skin, it will fill in any maybe enlarged pores or acne marks or scars or any little bumps or indentations or anything like that in the skin. So again, it's really good for getting your skin prepared for a nice even application of foundation on top. If you are maybe on the drier side and you want something to pep up the skin a little bit more, as skin can get a bit dull when it's dry looking, you could go for something that is illuminating, so like this number 7 illuminating lotion. It's the highlights lotion. So this will just add a lovely lift to the skin before makeup application. It can be worn by itself as well, but it's just a little bit more natural when it's put on underneath your makeup, so it's not quite so obvious, because they do tend to have a little bit of shimmer. But it'll just pep the skin up. Another great thing for drier skin would be something like this by Soap and Glory. It's their Beautifully Luminous Skin Bright Here Bright Now Instant Radiance Energy Balm. So if you're kind of normal skinned or like normal to combination skinned, you could use this as your moisturizer. But for the people with the very dry skin who want to deal with their moisturizer first, this is what I'd use as a primer, again, to add something a little bit more. It's more of a balm. So this is really good for anyone with very, very dry skin, and it'll prepare their skin beautifully for the makeup that you're going to put on top. This particular one would have natural oils and aloe vera, and it has face firming properties as well. So it's really good for anyone with very dry skin, like I said, or maybe more aging skin. Great for mothers of the brides, I find, and stuff like that on weddings. Another product I tend to use a lot on that kind of skin type would be the Strobe Cream by MAC, which is another emollient illuminating base, great for maybe older skin or someone with quite dry skin, or skin that is just a bit tired and needs more of a pep as well. So this is beautiful alone or under makeup, or you could even just mix it in with your foundation. So that's another great product to use. For anyone who has more oily skin and you want to deal with maybe your oily T-zone, or even if you have oil problems all over the face, you want to deal with oil control, or you want to use oil control primers. There are loads and loads of these out on the market. Most primers do tend to be silicone based, like I said, and silicone does work by trapping skin, the sebum in on your skin, so it won't mix in with your foundation quite as easily. Something like this, which is the Matte Cream by MAC, this works again by doing that. It'll trap your sebum in on the skin, so it doesn't actually get a chance to mix in with your foundation quite as quickly as it normally would. Now, using these kind of primers doesn't mean that your face won't get oily at all throughout the day. It just prolongs the wear of your foundation. So you get a longer, nice look to your foundation before the oil does eventually break through. You would want to use things like mattifying powders or blotting papers to deal with any of that excess oil coming through throughout the day. But this is how you start with it at the base level. Another great product would be something like this. This is Natural Radiance by MAC. It's another one of their newest primers. This one is a yellow kind of tinted primer, so it's really good for maybe a little bit of redness as well in the face, but it's very good for oil control, so this will help you keep you matte throughout the day as well. And also you might want to deal with correction, so colour correction. You could go for one of those green primers. There are many out on the market. I don't think I have any in front of me now. I know L'Oreal do one in a thing similar to this. This is their Studio Secrets professional one, and there are many brands that do the green primers, so those are to deal with people who have to deal with very high colouring on their face, get a lot of redness. You can also get the yellow primers, which are also really good for redness, but maybe slightly more subtle redness, people who don't have like the really noticeable like red flushes. Something like this as well by MAC, which is the Fortified Skin Enhancers. These come in 4 different tones. There's a lilac one, there's a yellow one, there's more of a pinky one. So there are different colours to deal with different issues on the face, but these are really good for not only oil control, but also for dealing with those colour issues, and also it has an SPF of 35. So this is one of those ones that are great for many issues. I would just say that don't use it on dry skin because it does tend to be a little bit dry on the skin. Or I also really love this one by Barbara Daily. It's their Flawless Primer, and it's kind of like a skin smoothing primer, but it's not quite as thick as some of the other ones. It just gives a lovely smoothness to the skin. I'll generally only put it in the centre of my face though, because that's the only areas where I find that my makeup might tend to start to disappear a little bit throughout the day. So this is one of those ones that will deal with a bit of oil control. This also helps to fill in the pores and any of those noticeable dents in my skin, and it'll help the makeup go on smoother. So I just smooth it over the centre area of my face, and then whatever's left I'll lightly blend it out towards the outside of my face. You don't need to pop it on heavily all over the face, just on the areas where you need it. And the difference between primer and moisturiser is that you don't need to wait for your primer to settle into the skin before you apply your foundation. You can go ahead and apply it straight away afterwards. And one last thing to say about primers is that there are also eye primers you can get. So generally, like the eye cream that I used, that you can see in my moisturisation video, that will work perfectly as your primer for underneath your concealer. But if you don't have those kind of eye creams that work really well under your concealer for around the eye area, but you do have issues with maybe your concealer's bunching up underneath the eye, or you find that it gets really dry and clingy around the area, you might want to go for something like this, which is the Vibrancy Eye Primer by MAC. And this just works as a lovely barrier between your skin and your concealer, so the concealer will tend to sit on the skin and give lovely coverage, even coverage, rather than sitting into lines or like drying out the skin or anything like that. So that can definitely be something very beneficial, maybe more for people in their late 20s onwards who maybe have more issues around the eye area, because the skin tends to loosen from that age onwards. But yeah, once you have your primers on, then you're ready to apply your foundation. So I'll show that in the next video. Thanks a million for watching, guys. Slán.